But the Eagles weren't the doom and gloom WA footy story this weekend. The Fremantle Dockers produced the worst performance of Justin Longmuir's 5.5-year tenure at Marvel Stadium on Friday night. The poor away performances are no longer anomalies. They are a pattern, and this one was a new low. Adam Simpson told me a week ago there was a tendency at Fremantle to catastrophise losses unnecessarily. And Simo is probably right, and you heard him say it again on Simo and Goss for Brekkie this morning, but I'm just not sure how else to tackle this game. It was a putrid performance from go to woe, a lifeless, listless capitulation to a team that had lost its last three by big margins. This was the Dockers knowing exactly what their former coach, Ross Lyon, was going to bring and still failing miserably to be able to deal with it. But we could bang on forever about how bad this performance was, but it's not the whole story, and it's not the most damning part of the Fremantle story at the moment. Because the problem with the Dockers right now is their trajectory. And the problem with the trajectory is that they don't have one. They've allowed themselves to become a stagnant football club over 2.5 seasons, despite having one of the league's most exciting lists. Young list, yes. But even young lists have to be travelling somewhere. Justin Longmuir is the one with his job on the line here, but this is on everyone at Fremantle, from President Chris Sutherland and his board down to CEO Simon Garlick, the footy department heads, the coaches and the players. The messaging has started from the top. On the one hand, they're saying it's time for success. On the other hand, Justin Longmuir has twice been offered half-hearted and half-arsed contract extensions or employment circumstance changes simply to quieten noise on his future, instead of reminding the footy department and the players what would actually quieten the noise, which is performance. And on performance, the club has waited for success to come to it instead of chasing it and demanding it. Justin's team has plateaued as a group because players have plateaued individually. This is not a hungry culture. It looks from the outside to be a soft culture, and they've never looked softer than how they looked on Friday night. The AFL is a ruthless business. Improvement must be relentlessly pursued and demanded. And Justin, his biggest fault is not tactics, it's not strategy, it's that he has chosen to try and negotiate to get improvement. Now, as we said on this show a couple of weeks back, either coaches burn players or players burn coaches. Justin Longmuir is in danger of being burned at the stake by a player group that looks satisfied and complacent despite having achieved precisely nothing. And unfortunately for Justin, that comes back onto him. Ruby Schleicher on Fox Footy's coverage on the weekend said Longmuir at three-quarter time was pleading with players to find something or show something. Pleading. This was not a time for pleading. This was a time to read the riot act. This was a time to remind poor performers that actions or inactions have consequences. The list of players who have stagnated or regressed since the 2022 finals is long. The list of performers who have advanced or maintained high standards is short. Andrew Brayshaw and Caleb Sarong front up every week and were understandably prime targets for Ross Lyon to shut down. Josh Tracy has come on in leaps and bounds and was equally understandably the matchup for All-Australian defender Callum Wilkie. Lyon blunted Fremantle's obvious strengths and dared the rest to beat him, and the rest wilted like wet tissues in the face of St Kilda's pressure. So forget the club's rhetoric about Longmuir's future. Longmuir will not coach the Dockers in 2026 unless they play finals in 2025. And I think it's time the club said that. It speaks to actions and inactions having consequences, performance and non-performance having consequences. And it might send a message to players who have been failing to perform without suffering consequences.